Good afternoon and welcome to Olga's show where you can learn anything about life. You can get motivated, you can get inspired, but the most important thing, you will improve your mindset, which will improve your life. Today, I have the man when it comes to relationships, because this man, David Buurma, he had really interesting journey, which you can find out all from our previous videos if you type David Buurma and Olga Geidane. But I must say, with this particular man, we had so many discussions about how to make relationships work, and that's why we are bringing this important topic to you today. David, thank you so much for coming onto my studio today. I really appreciate you giving the time, and I know you have a lot of value to give.
Yeah, I love this discussion. As we go through life, some of us, we all go through struggles, right, in relationships. It's just going to happen. And I think today with our society and where we're at with everything, we're actually having more and more issues in these areas. And we don't realize it. We don't understand where it's coming from, why it's coming from that area. And so we're trying to either adjust, avoid, go with the flow, listen to today's culture. There's such a mixed bag of information we're getting, and I think that's really messing things up as far as being clear and decisive of how to make relationships work. And I think everybody has their own journey, but mine really started when it comes to this part about relationships and going through seminars like Tony Robbins and understanding our makeup. And one thing I learned just recently from Tony Robbins a bit, he says most relationships fail because of depolarization rather than lack of love, right? And so when you realize that relationships are failing because of depolarization rather than lack of love, one has to study that, right? One has to go in further with that if that's actually what you're realizing. So, what is that and what does it look like? And that's where I think our topic really needs to come from today. And I'll bring it back to you. What's your experience when it comes to masculine, feminine energy, and your experience in that, Olga, and what's been your journey? And I'll maybe come back and tell you my journey afterwards.
That's a really good question. You see, David, very often people think it's one thing or another, but just like you mentioned, very often it is all about going back to that polarity, right? And I must say, I wish I would know that better. That's the only thing I can say when it comes to polarity, masculinity or femininity, right? I wish I would known this topic earlier, right? And that's why I'm so eager to bring this material to people because, well, let's put it this way. It's Friday. We're going to have weekend ahead. So what all people can do, learn with us today and apply this new learning into their relationships, right? But one of the things that people always wonder how to make relationship work usually is, okay, can I take something bring into relationship and that will be working, like spiciness, or maybe more time together, maybe less time together, or something else. But actually, is it really about how to make relationship work? Or maybe we should look into why do they fail? Right? Because why to start fixing? Why can we prevent relationship failing? Right? Many people search for topics. What can I improve? Hold on. Or why not to learn how you can prevent it?
Right. That's where I started, I guess. That's my journey was, when my ex left me for somebody else, I was kind of a lot of hurt and pain from because I was a good guy, right? I was a good guy. And my question was, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong in my relationship? And where can I do something better? And how can I understand women differently, right? That's where the journey all began from, right? And so, there is a lot of small things, but in doing things, right or different to correct it. But this topic of polarity in specific has been huge because as we go to a society that talks about equality, we really confuse what equality actually looks like, right? We confuse what it looks like towards us, and so equality is good and fine, but it's a different equal, right? We all have a different equal we need to deliver. And so we went away from the idea of being a man that opens up the door, that puts a jacket on the lady, that takes the chair for the lady, that does those kind of things. And so because we went away from that because of quote unquote equality, we don't understand that this is still needed, that women are still looking for these things, that women are still looking to be protected, cared for, all these kind of things. We've gone away from that all. And so that's created so much misunderstanding. And then on the contrary, women have become stronger. And so the question I asked recently in the group was that we were with was that how much time do we spend in our masculine sense, and how much time do we spend in feminine, both men and women? So we both have masculine and feminine energy. And the question that was given to me, how much time do I spend on masculine? And the comment was like probably 100%. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right, but I don't want to spend 100%. I'd rather spend 80%. And I think a lot of guys, especially when they get married, they're only spending 50% of their masculine. Well, if you're spending 50% of your masculine as a guy, it's hard to create that attraction. And besides that, is it even 50%? Even when you become masculine, is it a full masculinity? Or are you kind of blending and adjusting to adjust half masculine, half feminine, which is so unattractive to a woman, right? And the contrary, think of women, they're going out to work, they work 8 hours a day, they come home, they make decisions, they all day long, they're making decisions, right? Which is a very masculine role. And they don't feel safe enough. They're not with the right guy to feel safe enough to drop into that feminine role and to feel, say, you know what, I'm happy to do. You just tell me what to do or whatever. And it's not that it's not like you're trying to control the situation. Is that the fact that you understand your woman to the point where she's happy to give up that control, basically.
Yes. Yes. I love it. And this is so hot. I absolutely love this. If people will only understand that in order for you to improve your relationships, if you build new relationships, if you're already in relationships, you want to improve it, right? It's about bringing back that polarity in your relationships. And David, I love the fact how much importance you put into that. And what's interesting, you mentioned how much time do men spend in their masculinity, and if they are 50%, right, or could be even lower. And I must say here, what we notice very often, especially with the married men, as you said yourself as well, once men get married, naturally they spend more time with women, right? So naturally they become more feminine, right? Because the testosterone level goes down. When that level goes down, unfortunately, your partner's testosterone level will have to go up. And this is where the trouble starts. And then women eventually they become bossy. They become those who are making decisions. They become the ones who now allow a guy to go out for a drink with his blokes, or does allow him to go out with the drink, right? So, and that's why, because man, he drops his masculinity, right? So when man drops masculinity, woman shows up as a masculine woman. But now, how do we help men, or how do we remind men that they should stay in their masculine mode? How can they do it? That's the good question. What they should do that.
Right. So what I say to people is that, the joke always is, it looks like your wife has your balls, right? That's always a joke or that kind of stuff. And I always say it's up to the man to give up his balls, right? She doesn't take them unless you actually offer them up, right? Yeah. And so women always, it's been since time and again, women always go out with their girlfriends, they have their time, and they look at the different clothes they're wearing. They're like, oh, you're so beautiful. And they talk about the babies and all these kind of things and health issues and concerns. And us guys are not doing that in our new society. We're not going out with our buddies, busting down trees, going camping with their guys, doing things that are healthy, that's full on masculine. Because I always say, do you think about back in the day, our old society where men went out to war, they went out to all those kind of things. Think about when that guy comes back. There was no cell phone. Hey, honey, how you doing? You still alive? Hey, are you still okay? We're going to see you soon. All that kind of stuff. She didn't know that he was going to come back until he actually started walking towards the house. And I always ask, what do you think the energy level of feminine masculine energy was at that point in time when that guy starts walking back into the house? Right, what kind of energy level was that at, both masculine and feminine? And how was she? Was she like, hey, did you make sure you took out your shoes off? Did you go to the garbage? I mean, it was like, come to me, baby, right? Like, I don't freaking care about anything. I'm just happy you're alive, right? Yeah. And so what women do in general is they do what I call a bitch test or just checking out to see if you're still boss. And so what they do is they become a little aggressive once in a while and see where you're going to stand up. Are you going to stand up? Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Are you going to do all those kind of things? Because you said you're going to do that. And are you going to be pushed over by me? right? Because what they're really actually asking is that if you're going to be pushed over by me, you're going to be pushed over by any other woman out there. And so I actually lose my trust in you when you push over, right? So women actually lose trust in their man when they become pushovers, when they become pussies, and they back down. Then they say, this guy's not a man for me. And so they take the next level of control, next level of control, next level of control, next level of control, keep on pushing until their man shows up, right? Because that's all they're looking for. And say, hey, listen, don't talk to me that way. Don't act like that with me. And this is how I stand. I respect you and love you, and I appreciate you, but don't talk to me that. Guys do one of two things. Either become very, very aggressive, or most often they actually just walk out and leave. And again, what women are looking for, from my experience, is they're looking for it to be somewhat called subdued in a healthy way. And not an aggressive way, in a healthy way. Such thing as like when they're angry, a hug, there's still like this both sides. I love you and I appreciate you, but you don't talk to me that way. Yeah. And that really builds a high value of masculine, healthy energy, because we know there's two different masculine energies. One that's unhealthy, immature, that you're concerned all the time about, if I'm actually a man, right? And the other masculine energy is like, I'm a freaking man, I know it, right? and I love you, honey, right? And that's the two sides. And I think that's what's missing. Majority in their society is the majority of men are no longer men. And the ones that are, they're really, they can be intimidated easily, and so they have to prove their masculine level to the total like high end level. Lots of times I have experiences where women say, I don't believe what you're saying, and they don't. A lot of times I feel like they're just trying me.
Right.
They're just trying to see what I'm going to say. Am I going to push back and be angry? Am I going to argue with them, or am I going to negotiate with them? Right. And what's my response? My response is, you can believe whatever you want. I don't have to believe anything I'm saying. Right. So
you see, this is so powerful. And I love the way how you say that before men would go out of the house and that would man up. In a nutshell, they would go out and that would man up. They would do masculine things. Right. And nowadays, unfortunately, men, what most of them do, they push pen in the office, right? That's the only exercise majority of them do. So of course, that's why so many men have also anger issues, because they don't release that masculinity out of them, right? So what I learned, what a woman can do to help men to build the masculinity back, is to back off if he doesn't back off, right? It at least don't be in his proximity, right? Because it will happen naturally, right? If man is left alone, just even by himself, even if he's gonna be staying at home, let's say even just watching movies, because woman will be not around him, his natural level of testosterone will gonna be rebuilding up because she's not around him. Because naturally what women do, and I've done it as well myself in the past, over caring. We look after men like we think we should be looked after, right? We think human need the same thing what we do to each other. What do we do to each other? We smother each other, right? We smother each other with compliments. We smother each other with, let me do this for you, let me do that for you. But it's not what men generally need, right? And what happens, we kill it. So what I learned, if you see man is becoming more feminine, something is not really working out, he's becoming lazier, he's becoming slower, he's becoming sluggish, just remove yourself from his proximity.
Right.
Go meet with girls, go shopping, go holidays, whatever it is, right? But remove yourself from his proximity. And this way, you as a woman, you also can build your femininity, because you will go away and you will do your own things by yourself. So that's pretty much my answer on this.
Right. And so it's a responsibility of both. I see it. But I mean, as being a guy, I do not depend on a woman to give me the space. I depend on myself. I'm going to find it. I'm going to build it up. A really interesting exercise. Supposedly, this is scientifically proven that standing with your chest out, with your legs separate a little bit, and your hand on your waist for something like 30 seconds, not very long, breathing in deeply, you can build your testosterone level by 20%, right? Yeah. Just in that position. So, it's very obvious that there's a simple thing to do. And it's always funny sometimes. I'll go out, and I'll look in the mirror. I'm a pretty big guy, and it's kind of funny. You go out with a girl, and she's like, "I don't believe your philosophy. It's not bull crap, all that kind of stuff." And she's like, "I'm 6'6", and she's like 5'3", and I started believing the bull crap after a while. And I'm like, what's wrong with you, David? You know, you were very clear on your position. You're very clear on what actually works and what doesn't. But again, we're working against a very strong society that's not speaking these things because the feminine movement. And to be quite frankly, the majority of women, I don't believe, actually, from my experience, actually, you know, believe in the full philosophy of the feminine movement. Again, equality is perfect. It's just that we're a different equal, and we got to respect what we each bring to the table. And that's where we're having issues, I think.
I agree with you. And nowadays, that movement is so strong that unfortunately men, they backed off quite massively. And they think this is the way to do it. But I would like some comments which we have here. I would like to address them. And by the way, those who are joining me and David as well, please do let us know your location. Because David, you are based in Canada, right? Somewhere not far from, not far from Ontario?
Yeah, we live in Ontario, close to Toronto, between Toronto and Detroit.
Right. And I'm today, actually, let me show off where I'm today. Okay. Let me be that feminine woman who is talking, sharing what she's doing, right? I'm desperate to share. So, and I will make everybody jealous. Check out that view. Check out that seaside. I'm not sure if we can see because the sun is so bright. It's so warm. It's so super cool, but I can't even be outside because if I would do the show outside, I probably would be absolutely dripping wet by now. So at least I'm indoors with the aircon. So those who join us, please do let us know your location, where you're listening to us from. And let's remember, every culture is different, right? We have so many different beliefs how it should be, right? Some cultures, they have male dominance really strong today, right? Some cultures, they have this strong woman movement. So let's remember, everybody is different and every culture is different. However, let's make sure this message reaches around the world as many houses as possible, because ideally we want to help people to improve their relationships. But so far we have people from Iran, which is awesome. We also have people from London. Glenn joined us from London, and Ahmad from Dubai, which I know probably in Iran and Dubai situation is slightly different, because still you have a very, very strong masculine energy in there, right? So I wonder, what would be your guys' comments? How it happens in your culture? How do you stay masculine in your culture, right? How do you help women to be more feminine? Because Eastern European culture is totally different from Arab culture, for example, right? So that will be interesting to actually see. But also, Sam says here, for any relationship to work, all that needed strong understanding between each other. What do you think about it, David? What do you think about, is it really just about the strong understanding, or is it a lot deeper? What's your thoughts on that?
So you're breaking up a bit, Olga. I don't know if you realize that, but what I wanted to mention too was that, do you want to repeat the question one more time?
Yes, the question is, someone says that for any relationship to work, all that is needed is strong understanding between each other. Do you feel that would be enough just to understand each other? Do you think this is like the key to relationships, to be able to understand each other?
So yeah, so definitely, you know, we talk about the love languages, we talk about human personalities, we understand all that kind of stuff. But a part of all personalities, love languages, and all that kind of stuff, if you do not have polarity, if you do not create polarity, if there's no polarity in the relationship, I'm sorry, on the day, it's not enough. It's not enough. You need that too. It's the next level. And, you know, I was raised with a father who was a little bit more macho and derogatory. I didn't want that, so I became a nicer guy. And that didn't work either, right? So that 100% understanding for love language of service or touch or that kind of stuff, understanding she's high action, low action, you know, high nurture, whatever. All that kind of stuff is very important. But not coming in with a role of masculinity. Remember, this is one thing I want to really share and really have this thought brought across. There's one thing that women love to do, and that is to shut off their brain. It's done through making love, sex, whatever you want to call it. It's into coming home and just letting things go. It's just being in the arms of her man, all that kind of stuff. Those are the things that women love to do. And one of them is that if a guy is taking you out on a date, just as an example, takes you on a date, you have no idea where you're going, he has it all planned out, all that kind of stuff. Why do you love that so much? Right? Why do you love that so much? Is it not because you can shut off your brain for a minute and just let it go, let him take control, let him run your life for a bit? Again, Obviously, most women are scared of doing that because of past experiences they've had with men in general, and so they're fearful of giving up that control. And so this is what I always say. Some girls will say, "No, I'm not going to drop down my walls until I'm dating or whatever." It's like, how does a guy ever get to know you, who you are, if you're not going to drop down those walls until you get married or till you start dating? How does he get to know you? How does he get to know you the first date? You want to be able that guy, that lady, that he will understand you, who you are. And what I say to them is that it doesn't mean that you give up your identity. It doesn't mean that you give up control. It's just that you show that you're a sweet woman. And believe me, good guys like sweet women. They're not attracted to bitches. They're not, right? We don't mind a few tests, but we're not attracted to that. So we don't mind a strong woman. That doesn't mean that you don't become sweet. It doesn't mean also if you're sweet doesn't mean that you have to give up your control. It's nothing about that. It's just showing who you really are. And masculine guys don't need to be jerks. And sweet women don't need to give up all their control. That's just a theory out there. It's not a reality.
I love that. And you know, right now you really hit the house. You really hit the house. Because when I understood that I was so masculine, when I started working on my feminine energy, it was almost like, you know, there was a new world around me all of a sudden. Because I love that with a woman. If a woman is overprotecting herself, if woman is way too strong, unfortunately, man will be not able to enter her heart. And many women don't understand it. You're right. Of course, we want to make sure that you are the best man out of all best men, right? We want to make sure that you will go through all the tests. But same time, do you really have to be that guarded? Why not to be sweet? Why not to be nice? And unfortunately, a lot of masculinity in every woman comes from the fear. Like you said, she was hurt before, and now she is guarded. And now she wants to protect herself because she doesn't want to be hurt again. And partially, this huge movement of feminism is coming from hurt as well.
100%.
I was speaking to a few women who are involved strongly in this feminism. And actually, what they're saying, lots of angry women are there. And then right now, by saying this, I probably exploded a bomb, but that's the truth, right? That's the truth. Lots of angry women are leading this strong feminism movement, right? Because of they don't want to be hurt. That's why now they prefer to be over-empowered, over-strong, over-achievers, because this way I am safe. But are you really safe emotionally? That's a good question, right?
So it's a long journey for both men and women. That's what I always say. It's a big journey. It's not like, I choose to be this guy now and I'm that guy. I say it takes about 6 months from time of understanding to actually application in your life. And I think it's the same with both. There's simple topics that will come up. Men can ask themselves, do you ever feel intimidated if a woman makes more money than you? Right? Do you feel intimidated because of this? Do you feel intimidated because of that? And it's a journey that I had to go through. Right. But once you understand the value you deliver in a relationship, the value that you're needed in a relationship, you don't have to be intimidated by anything because it's not, women don't care in the day what you make more or less. They're not going to stay with you because you make more money. They're not going to stay with you because you make less money. The polarity and understanding them and connecting with them, I think I heard it before from Tony, presence, understanding, and attention is 3 needs of a woman. Right. So, there's all these simple things, but still, you need to have the polarity. You need to have the polarity. You need to know your woman. You need to show up. You need to be the gentleman, and you need to boss out. That's all I can say.
I love that. I must say, that's my favorite phrase when it comes to you, David. Boss out, right? Be a boss, right? I love that phrase. But we actually have quite a lot of comments on Facebook as well. Let me just read them out to you, and I think you will like some of them as well. So Chrissy Pop, she says, I have to say, I was never this woman. When I was married, I never challenged in masculine energy. I allowed him to lead. He and the camping and hunting trips with the boys. And when he returned, he was met with some pretty intense passion because I could smell the testosterone. Oh, what do you think about this, right?
100%.
This is so spicy. Thank you, Chrissy. That is so, so hot. And she says, the problem for me was I lost myself being everything he needed, and he really wasn't interested in returning it. My cup ran empty, and after 21 years, I had a broken cup.
Right,
How interesting is that?
right, right. So this is the other struggle that I'll bring up. A lot of women, when they come up to a good, strong, masculine man that is sweet and a gentleman, they're like they found their savior, basically, right? And so they lose their identity in the process. And so having your own goals as a lady, as a woman, is very important still. You don't have goals together, but having your own separate goals, especially today's day and age where you have a lot of automation in your house and that kind of stuff, you need to get out. You need to be in circulating with other people, and you have to have your own goals. And of course, he needs to fill your cup, your love language back up. If he's not doing that, he's really not doing his job. So it works both ways. You have to have your goals. You have to have your focus, so you don't lose yourself in your man. Because a strong masculine man is very attractive to a woman, and they quite often can lose themselves in the process.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. And let's put it this way, David, do you think men are more attracted to women who actually do have passion, who do have the exciting life, who do have something really awesome about them? Do they really need somebody absolutely boring, so focused on relationships? What do you think?
So that's a great topic. I think you can find both ways. I think I find that very successful men and women will sometimes be attracted to more unsuccessful people because they're trying to bring them along in the journey, and they have a purpose with that person. That can be a fault. So I think each person might have their own journey in that. Again, once I think you become clear that this journey that we're on, we want somebody that's equally passionate, that kind of stuff, then you understand that's probably healthier for you. Because when you start bringing somebody along, always say like a leopard never loses its spots. So in other words, if you see the habit of your girlfriend or whoever it is at a beginning being a certain way, it's hard to expect it to change at all. So that being said, though, the struggle that again women will have when they're very successful is how to slow down, enough to be that feminine person. Because what do we know about women? We gotta wait for them, right? They always take longer to get ready, all that kind of stuff, and we're trying to pull them along. But that's actually kind of attractive to us. If we're actually honest with ourselves, we say that's attractive. She's getting ready and we're waiting there and all that kind of stuff. But she comes out and looks so beautiful. It's well worth it and all that kind of stuff. We have that level of attraction to that. So I would say for the girls that are super ambitious, all that kind of stuff, when you're around your man, slow down slightly. Let him open your door for you. If you can't do up your dress, ask him to help you. I mean, maybe you can do it anyways, but just pretend you need his help. And again, that's the stuff that kind of builds that attraction. Because again, women that are very successful, they can do it all. We don't question that you can't do it all. It's not the point, right? It's just that it's necessary to build that attraction. It's difficult for women that are successful to slow down enough so the man can kind of catch up and bring them along.
I love that. And I think these little tips are really powerful. It could be anything. It's just asking for little tiny help. And it's not about now becoming weak and incapable to live your own life, girl. It's just involving man into doing things for you, basically doing things for you. You ask for help so he can do something, because again, that will make him like, oh, I've done it for her, right? Yeah. But there's really interesting comment from Pavlina. And Pavlina, we actually spent the day together when I arrived in Cyprus. She's from Cyprus. She says these Cypriots are intimidated by strong, independent women. And David, we had such a spicy discussion with Pauline about this. We are so like-minded, and we both almost like had the same struggles. So it's really interesting what she says here. They think that in order to be masculine, they need to be with a woman who is much lower than them in achievements. Or they might marry a strong woman for money and to share her wealth. That's a real struggle.
It is a real struggle. And that's where I go back to where I said about men, being understanding that, listen, guys, all you got to do is be men, right? Any successful woman will stay with you if you're full on masculine, full on macho. And I don't mean this, again, this miserable connotation of what macho looks like. I'm talking about men that are again, gentlemen, right? No woman no matter how successful is going to leave you if you are fully in that presence. And that's the thing that we have a hard time believing as men, that that's actually possible, but it's a 100% true. And so that's the journey us guys, sadly enough, have to take. And if you don't take it, yeah, you won't keep a woman that is successful, because we'll always be intimidated that she's gonna, fall in love with somebody else, she'll go somewhere and she'll be happy with somebody else. And the point is that what happens is when one of our loved ones wants to go and be more successful and grow and develop, we quite often hold them back because we're worried if they become too successful, they're no longer going to like us anymore, right? And so we hold them back. But it's the opposite that has to happen. We got to push them forward. If we push them forward, we encourage them, they're going to love us even more. They're going to come back and says, I want that man, because he's the one that believes in me. He believes in my success. He believes in all that kind of stuff. And so that's where a lot of, I was going to bring up one more thing just on this topic about emotions. Another thing us guys have a big struggle with is that women, we love a woman's emotions when it's so full of love and fire and excitement and all that kind of stuff. We love it. But what we have a struggle with as men too is when they're sad, all this kind of stuff, because emotion is an extreme. You have a feeling that you had emotion, it's an extreme. And so quite often we have this situation where girls crying, all that kind of stuff, and we think we have to fix it. No, as men, just hold them, just care for them. Don't try to fix it. Just listen them out. That's all they're wanting. They want a rock. Again, we all want a rock that we can drop on, we can back up to. And women are more than ever is looking for that position, just to be in that way. So.
That is so powerful. I think what you're saying there is just basically men up. Right. And as a woman up, right? Or woman down. Don't know how to say it, right? But basically be more feminine, right? In order to allow men to show up and so he can be a man. And I must say, for me, it was a journey. It was definitely a journey. But it's so funny how even my friend said, I remember once we were driving together and there was a situation when I was looking for a parking spot. And there was a man walking by towards the car and he noticed me looking for a parking spot. And I opened the window and I didn't notice that. But I was like, hi, is there any parking spot around? He's like, yeah. I'm just about to drive out. Just over there, follow me. And he was full on helping me. And my girlfriends, they were like, Olga, you were just normal in the car with us. What happened when you opened the window? And I said, what happened? I haven't even noticed. But that was such a journey for me to really realize that it's not about playing. It's not about becoming somebody else. It's just literally seek for help. And David, it was a journey. So I know every successful woman out there, why many women struggle to find a strong man, because we had to fight for that success. We had to build our businesses. We had to be in that masculine mode. So of course, when you have this habit, and of course, especially who raise their own children, right? There were single mothers for years. They had to be strong. And now all of a sudden, man shows up. And what we want basically is to still be the way we are, but men to be ballsy, men to be strong, men to be masculine. But it is quite challenging for men to be there because it's almost like, hi, mate, right? Hi, mate attitude. Because if you're strong, then it is a hi, mate attitude. But it's not what we want. So for me, it was a challenge. And I know many women still struggle with it. And I know also that many men struggle with it too. Because they want to show up, but women don't let them to show up.
Right. So again, when we started the whole conversation, we were asking about masculine and feminine energy. And the thing is that we quite often hear, I've never been happier in my life and all this kind of stuff. And I always ask this question now, if that's the case, you're so happy, why is it that you're still wanting a man in your life? Why is you still wanting a woman in your life? And why it is quite often is because we're trying to have this, we're looking for the other half. We're looking for the masculine. We're looking for the feminine, right? And we're wanting to experience that with the other person. So that's kind of where I come back full circle. I feel that's the reason why we're still looking for a partner. We're still looking for somebody in our life, is because we're looking for that synergy, that polarity. And that's kind of how I see it. I see it the full circle.
I love that. Absolutely. We have here another comment from Pavlina. She says, definitely a stronger woman loves men taking care of things. Oh my God, Pavlina, you just literally hit the nail on my heart right now. You're so right. But men are still intimidated by her life and success.
I'll give you one more tidbit. one more tidbit here that I leave off. I don't have much more to share with you. I don't think. Maybe there might be a few things. But the point is this one last tidbit. If I give you anything as a guy, truly, if you want a girl to fall in love with you, if that's what you're looking for, do all these things. But more importantly, connect with them. Connect with their heart. Connect with their soul. If you do that part, they'll stick by you forever. I mean, that is the deepest part. Connect with the heart. And the sad part is here. This is why we all have to do work, because we cannot connect with somebody else's heart and soul if we don't connect with our own first. So once we connect with ours, it's easy to be able to connect with the next person. Is it a struggle to get to that point? Yes, of course. We're all going to have walls. We're all going to have different things. That's the journey, right? But if you look at it as a journey, you look at it as a beautiful journey, then once you get there, you realize how ecstatic it is. It's a whole new level of connection.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I think when you speak about connection, that is so, so important. You can have great respectful relationships. You can have great chemistry. But without connection, you cannot really build strong, intimate relationships. So when you mentioned that, it really, really, you went deep into the heart, because you're still right here. It is about that strong connection, almost like the way how I look at that, it's almost like the feeling of belonging, right? You belong to each other, that strong connection, which is very scary. It is so scary connection for so many people, especially if you were hurt before. If you were left by somebody, if you were cheated by somebody, if something happened to you when you were little, you were abandoned. It is so scary part to go to your heart, to open up and connect with somebody. But actually, when you do that, then you forget about how successful your woman is, right? You will not become intimate anymore, because now you connect with her and she connects with you.
100%.
Yeah, so powerful. Wow, that is amazing. Well, I must say, great conversation, David. As always, you bring so much value every time. Every time I speak, there's lots of happening in comments. People just like go crazy about these topics every time we go live. So that's a good sign. That means people are interested in improving their relationships, right? But I love what Chrissy says here. I do really believe we were created to be in relationships. When we do this work on ourselves and we come together and connect, it can be the most powerful and wonderful relationships. Ah, how nice is that? And I think this is the way to finish off the show as well. You see, in order to make a relationship work, let's prevent them to fail. Right? Let's prevent them to fail and to get destroyed, because you can do that through men manning up, through them becoming more masculine, and us women becoming more feminine, because that will be also helpful. Because let's put it this way, yes, we want to achieve, yes, we want to be successful, but don't we want just to come back home and to drop all those words which we had to fight with, all those decisions, just to put them on a shelf and to say, hello, darling, I'm ready to be spoiled and I'm ready to be looked after by you, just like a girl. And I think that is super, super sexy when actually this can happen in relationships.
Right. And I would say, and just to finish up my part, I just enjoy this topic. The bottom line, I'm a farmer. And if you do want somebody that I've been inspired all my last 2 years in talking with Olga, she's an amazing person. If you want to grow and develop and in coaching, that kind of stuff, I definitely recommend touching base with her.
That is so sweet. Thank you, David. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much once more for coming today. It was a great pleasure to speak with you about this topic. And the reason why I wanted to bring up this particular topic, because basically we spend quite a lot of time discussing this, right, as we do. But also I know that so many people need this topic, because right now during the corona situation, when people are still locked down, they ruin their relationships because of the proximity they have between themselves. So that's why I felt like, oh, that'll be really hot and spicy discussion. And based on the comments, I can definitely see it was hot and spicy discussion. People are still commenting that. But let's do it this way. Let's just finish off on this message, which was from Chrissy, which I really, really like, right? It is about working on ourselves. All of us, we can do it, whether you do it by yourself, whether you did like David, he went all the way to Tony Robbins seminars, visited many of them, also went through coaching, whether it's like my way, also pretty much Tony Robbins and many events and lots of coaching. It's entirely up to you how you do it. But let's remember, the more you work on yourself, the bigger difference you can make in your relationship. So thank you so much, everybody who was watching us today, who was commenting there, who was with us all this time. It was a great pleasure to have you around the globe, which is the most exciting part. And David, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for coming onto my show today and sharing your wisdom.
Love to. Have a great day.
Thank you.